This podcast looks at referencing, which is a key academic skill and something the school takes very seriously. It's a very quick run through to the basics of referencing, and we've got an awful lot more stuff, and you can come and see us if it's something that particularly worries you. There are a few reasons why referencing is taken so seriously. The first is that it's part of academic writing. It's one of the ways in which the essays that you submit, the way that academic papers differ from other kinds of writing, such as narrative, diaries, things like that. It's also about providing evidence for all the statements that you make, so you don't get to say anything unless you've got evidence to substantiate that, and you show that evidence by way of referencing. Another important point is that within nursing, you've got to show the evidence base for your practice, and again, you do that by referencing. And then finally, you need to make sure that you're avoiding plagiarism. So you're acknowledging all the work of others that you've brought together into your essay. And again, you do this, you show where all of the evidence, where all of the ideas came from by correct referencing.
There are various different types of referencing system that can be used, and the School of Health uses the Harvard Referencing System. All the guidelines that you need to know about for using the Harvard Referencing System are available in the school's referencing guidelines. There are two main parts to referencing. Firstly, the in-text citations, where you make reference to the author's surname and the date of publication, so providing evidence for all of the ideas, all of the theories, all the procedures and definitions that you're making. Secondly, there's also a reference list at the back of the essay, which is a completed list of all the resources that you've used within the essays, so for example, journal articles, chapters and edited books, and websites too. The in-text citations show the reader where you got your evidence from, and stylistically you can vary how you do this. So for example, you can make reference to a study and include the author's surname and date of publication within brackets, or if you're referring to the author, you may only need the date of publication in brackets after the author's surname. If you're using a direct quote, then you need to include the page number too. All the resources that you use within your essay will be grouped at the back in one completed referencing list. This will be ordered by author's surname, regardless of what type of resource it is, so there's no need for different sections, for example, for journal articles or websites or book chapters. Make sure that you refer to the referencing guidelines that the school has produced to make sure that the different resources are all within the appropriate template.
You might want to use referencing software such as RefWorks. It's free and supported by the university, and what it does is allow you to store all of your bibliographical information as you're doing the research for your essays. You can then sort it into different reference lists, and it will automatically put it into the correct template to conform to the school's guidelines. There's a lot of information on RefWorks on the library website, and if you go to that URL, you'll be taken through guides for use. Referencing can be tricky, but if you remember why you're doing it and hold these key points in your mind, it should become easier. So get into the habit of always noting down all of the bibliographical details for what you're reading, even if you're not sure whether it's going into your essay or not. When you're writing your work and then when you're reading it over, make sure it's clear where your information's coming from. Also make sure you vary your style of in-text citations. That's really a stylistic point to make your writing interesting. And then when it comes to the reference list at the end, work out what kind of text you're dealing with. Is it a journal? Is it a chapter within an edited book? Is it a website? Then turn to the school's guidelines, look up the template for that particular resource and copy it. So the next few slides are examples of literature that you might use within your essay. This is a screen grab from a journal health promotion practice that's published by Sage. It's got a good clear title, using direct mail to prompt smokers to call a quit line, so you know immediately if it's going to be of relevance to you. As you can see, there's quite a few authors, so if you were quoting this within the text, you would simply use O'Connor et al., so O'Connor and everybody else. At the reference list at the end, every author would be written down and in the order that's on the actual journal. The other information you'd need for the reference list at the end is the year of publication, the journal volume number, issue number if there is one, and not every journal actually conforms to that, and then the page numbers. And here's some examples of use within the text and the reference list at the end.
Here's a slightly different example of a textbook, showing that there's slightly different locations for the information, including the title, the edition, the publication information such as publishers, location and year of publication, as well as the names of the authors. So again, here's an example of how you would use all that information both to refer to this text within your essay and also a complete reference for the reference list at the back.
As you get more comfortable with academic writing, you can become really sophisticated in your use of references, so you use them to build the argument. As much as you need to find other sources to say what it is you're wanting to say, you build the argument by choosing the sources and putting them in the order that you want. And think about using more than one reference where possible. If you find 5 references that all say the same thing, maybe put in a handful. It's not adding to your word count because it's really just author date within the brackets. Here's an example of a third year student's work, and they've really used references well to build their argument. If you can aim to have something like this, you'll be doing really well.